Hey everyone, welcome back. It's another episode of Global Card Collectors. And John, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. The weather is hot. It's stinking hot here. How you feeling about that weather change?
Yeah. It's back to I'm on a second floor, so it's like a slanted roof, so it's way hotter up here. So the air conditioning's on, and these kinds of things are just trying to stay cool.
Yeah, it's fair. So we are recording in the middle of the day, and I'm in t-shirt and shorts. And Istanbul is about to become much quieter because in the summertime, everybody leaves the city and they go to beach areas and they're getting ready for summer. So what are your plans for summer, buddy? What are you going to do?
We'll be here in July, and the summer camps with the kids, kind of just keep them occupied. I mean, I'm most excited for Dusseldorf, which
Me
is
too.
refreshing. And then August we'll go down to the coast. I assume you will as also.
Yeah, a little bit. So I guess the plans after Dusseldorf is not very clear, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. And I heard you in the last episode talking about the list that you're making. Anything specific that you can kind of recall off the top of your head on your list?
I guess, yeah. I mean, there are a few things like that. Again, the Oscar 1961 Oscar Robertson I want. I do still want a 1987 Fleer Jordan, maybe like PSA 7. I like sevens for some reason. I like the number. And the Jokic 2015 International Treasures, but these are more expensive. But the ones that I'm just kind of very hopeful to find a Ronnie Cycli 2015 International Treasures. It's got the Lebanese flag in the back. I'm a quarter Lebanese. Really want one of those, and maybe a Marcellonis from 2015. So kind of hoping those are just somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you taking any trade bait over? I know I am.
Yeah. You? Yeah. I got a few.
Yeah. Any specific cards you're going to move? Any ones that you want to move, or you're like, you know what, I'm going to take that over, see if I can get some money for it, or at least trade up for it or something kind of thing.
Yeah. Everything's kind of like don't have to move it. Wouldn't mind keeping it, but I think I talked about these Meta Mastery 101s I have, 2019. That's right. Dirk and Tony Parker. So if there's some big card I see and that could be thrown in, that.
Well, I know that for mine, I know that your mum is coming over, I guess, next week, and she's kindly bringing over my ComC order. So I definitely have a couple of graded Journal Lumber cards that I'm going to take over. And you never know, there could be a rugby card collector there. Could hopefully make a deal. We'll see how we do. Yeah. So that's a couple of cards that I'm going to take. I have a 1/1 Dame Lillard. It's a Nebula, which is a pretty nice looking card. I won it in a Raz. So I'd like to move that one. And there's that 1/1 John Wall card that we pulled from, what was that box?
2021 Elite, Donruss Elite.
Elite, Donruss Elite. So I've got a John Wall 1/1, and so I'm hoping that one might move too. I'm even going to take my Schengen 1/1, and just maybe I can somehow get a card that I want even more than that. So those are the pieces that I'm using for trade bait over in Germany. And speaking of trading, we are fresh off our second Card Clan Trade Day. What are your thoughts on the day, man? Be very candid, be very honest. Just go ahead and tell us what you thought.
Yeah, it was really laid back. It was you guys were in the main room, the Lemon Cards, which is an awesome place, but small and not that well ventilated. So kind of all these recommendations about people using deodorant. I've heard about the natural at card shows. I was like, yeah, no, I really get that. So I arrived too late and was kind of outside, but I was kind of happy about that, I think.
That was definitely, and unfortunately, I was in the middle of it, in the thick of it. And I'm just hoping that center where they have the show in Dusseldorf, it looks like it has very high ceilings. So hopefully that can kind of, just spread out that pungent smell of young collectors, which we had a lot of. We had so many young collectors. It was basically, 10-year-old boys to maybe 20-year-old boys, 22-year-olds. That was the majority of our group, and then a few dads our age. So definitely an interesting mix of people, right?
It was, yeah, and it wasn't too many, and it was there were a lot of return people from our first trade day, uh,
Definitely
and so that was cool to just see them again, and kind of I felt like some more connection was kind of made, some familiarity, and
agreed.
yeah, I mean, they ran the gamut from you know super respectful and genuinely interested to learn about the cards to I think you had good dealings with with a few guys. It was like two or three guys that like they came to my table like three times and like, why is this 600 lira, which is like $15? Like, well, I start talking like this is like the only international card of Icardi that's been printed, like anyway, but he was just off, and then he just walked away. So it was like it's just funny behavior.
It was definitely fun watching that. Like you said, there's this wide range from super respectful to, I guess I would label them pickers, or most people call those types of people in the hobby scalpers, or hustlers, or that sort of thing. But starting with the nice ones, I think my favorite was that boy Ilgaz, who we've been gossiping with Barak and Emir. So Ilgaz, for our listeners, is this beautiful, chubby little 10, 12-year-old boy who just has bundles of energy. And he came along to the first card show that we had. He was super excited. And so obviously my Instagram handle is Card Adama, which means card man. And he just runs around and he's like, where's Cardman? Where's Cardman? And he walks up to me and goes, yo, Cardman, aren't you? I'm like, yeah, buddy, how you doing? And basically that's been the beginning of our relationship. And he's just been full of beans ever since, just wanting to make deals. And he's a little bit insistent, but not rude. And it's just really nice. So I made a couple of small deals with him in the first show, but I felt like I didn't really interact as well with those kinds of people in the first show as I would have liked. So when he came around in the second show, I was ready to go, man. And he came in and he showed me his binder of cards. And in that 6 months from the time that he first met us till now, he's been able to collect 3 different one-of-one cards. He's gotten a boatload of autos. And it really is just because it's all about the hustle with him. And I love it. He's just so much fun.
He is a force.
Yeah, agreed.
I like that kid. Yeah.
He's definitely gonna make waves. He already is making waves in the Turkish card collecting community.
Yeah.
So he was one of my absolute favorites. I think my most enjoyable moment of the show though was I had some Bundesliga Topps Chrome cards, and I was selling packs of them. So there were 3 packs I had, and I sold 3 packs, and one of them went to a 10-year-old boy, and I was like, cool, yeah. And I'm giving them for really cheap prices, like half the price at least. But he opens the pack and he gets an order, and he was so excited. So just to see the look on his face, like he came back to my table. He's like, look at this. And he's holding up the card with the auto in front of his face. And he's just got this big grin on his face. I'm like, look, give me that card here. I put it in a sleeve, put it in a top line. I go, here you go, kid. And he's like, oh my God, thank you for giving me that. I'm like, what are you talking about? Of course. But that enthusiasm it basically brought me right back to when I was a kid. Now, I obviously never was able to get any autos as a kid, but when I would pull a Jordan card or something really rare, I would have that same excitement. And so it was fun to share that moment with him.
That's awesome. Yeah. I'd say for me, it was this guy came up and he's like, yeah, I'm actually the nephew of Hedo Turkoglu.
Yeah.
And I had a few there, and then like I had a couple on the table, but he was like, how much for both these? I'm like, wait, I got something that's even cooler that you might like. And it is his EX rookie card auto on card. It's a redemption card. And so I could explain it to him. I have 2 copies. So I was like, that's why I'm selling one. But I might look around for him some more on eBay, get some more, because I think they're amazing cards. But that was cool. And he seemed super happy. Put it in a one touch for him. He didn't even know how to use a one touch. So that was cool. Like I left feeling good. The other funny one I want to share is some kid bought a Pete Buttigieg card.
I remember you told me I crack up with that. That's like, why would a person in Turkey get a Pete Buttigieg card? But
I know.
you know,
I was surprised. Yeah, I mean that they even know who he is, and yeah. Anyway, I mean, it was
yeah.
very
So
anyway.
I think the last thing I want to share about the show was I guess the thing that we talked about on the way back from the show the most was these hustlers, these,
Yeah,
I guess, these pickers who, they're around the place. The funniest thing about them, though, was that they knew absolutely nothing about cards or basketball. So I had this one picker come up, and he must have been at my table for about an hour, just, trying to basically hustle me or just wear me down until I dropped the price on my card. Now, I had two cards for sale. One was a numbered Larry Bird card, a number to 49, but it was in his Indiana uniform. It wasn't as if he was in the NBA uniform. The second card was a Tony Allen auto. Now, the funny thing was, I don't know how much money he had, but the bird I had priced at 900 Turkish lira, which is about $16, I want to say. $18, something like that.
20.
I don't know. Anyway, 20.
Oh, 20.
Okay, sure.
Yeah,
20,
yeah.
20. Which I think was what I bought it for. But again, I probably priced it like that because I'm not that keen on moving it. So if someone wants to pay for it,
Right.
they can get it, So there was the bird card there. And then Tony Allen I had for 350, which is about almost $10, just under $10.
Yeah.
Again, the same price that I paid for it, but I could go down to 300 on that. And that's what I said to him. Anyway, he, for some reason, was really attached to Tony Allen, but he didn't know who Tony Allen was. He's like, so who is this guy? I'm like, look, Tony Allen, and my broken Turkish, Tony Allen is an iconic defensive player. So Kobe Bryant has said that Tony Allen was the best defender he ever played. Says, And then he went over to a Robert Covington autograph card, which is 100 lira cheaper. And it's like, what about this guy? Who's he? And I'm like, well, Robert Covington's a pretty decent NBA player. He's had a couple of decent games, but nothing special. So I wasn't keen on Covington, but for some reason really wanted Tony Allen after I'd said that thing about him and Kobe. Anyway, it basically went on for him for an hour, pulling out like a 200 lira note and then 20 lira on top going, 220, 220. Okay, and then he put out another 10 lira, 230. And my wife was getting so upset because she's Turkish and she's understanding the culture. And she just kept snapping back at them. And so basically through the negotiations after a while, she's like, can we please talk to your husband instead? It was funny. It was very funny. She was quite moody with them. But what I found so hilarious about them, and it's great, 19, 20-year-old kids wanting to hustle, have a few dollars to spend and trying to earn something more. So there's something about that. They're going out there and trying to do something with their money, but they're completely clueless about what they're trying to invest in. Yeah, so I found that hilarious that they were willing to throw out money to invest in something that they knew nothing about. And it's fine to invest, but I think the first step and the first piece of advice I give anyone is just do a bit of research first. But why are you trying to learn from the seller? Like, I could have said anything. Oh, this guy Stanley Johnson, I've got him half price. You know what I mean? And they would have bought it straight away. But you're trying to be nice to these kids, but it was tough work, right?
Crazy. I mean, it's funny, but it's I mean, you kind of can't believe that occurs or something. But it was kind of eye opening that does. And I don't know. I mean, maybe that kind of leads into our second major topic of just kind of what this space brings out in people. Like clearly they were thinking they could just buy something and sell it for more. Fine, obviously. But you really should know what you're talking about.
That's right.
They I don't know. I'm so used to it. Not to bash on the Turks too much, but I mean, it gets exhausting the way that they're always trying to get a deal, and it is their like culture. Like you're supposed to ask, that's just to some extent, not all. I don't want to generalize, but there is that impulse there, and it gets exhausting from my angle, and I do end up giving in a lot. I'm just like, fine, just you know, I'm also pretty desperate to just kind of move cards that I don't really want and feel better about myself that I have fewer cards and come home with a little scratch, and so that's great. But yeah.
Yeah, I think that the hustle for them, they are just trying to wear you down. And obviously, it's not all Turks. Obviously, it's not. But there is an element of the culture here where that kind of behavior is almost acceptable. And it's fine if you want to barter. It's fine if you want to make deals, but you got to know what you're putting your money into. So why would you bargain and hustle and you're just like, and you got no idea about what you're buying, especially when the seller I could have easily just said to him, I buy that Stanley Johnson. He's a great player, and got rid of my rubbish, crappy card instead of selling him a player who I think is good. Like, I love Tony Allen. And he ended up buying the card with a friend. I made him a deal. I sold him an Ardigaler and a Tony Allen card, both of them for 500 lira, which is about $12, so about $5 or $6 each card.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, yeah, you felt that. I mean, I feel a responsibility to be nice and not take advantage. And
that's right.
I mean, I'm not. Yeah, I mean, so maybe these were good interactions for. I don't know if they learned anything, but it was interesting.
How did you end up doing anyway? You said that you moved a few cards. Were you able to make many sales?
Definitely. Like they're two boxes, like shoebox maybe kind of size, a little smaller. I got rid of a half of one of those. I have two of those. So amazing, yeah,
Perfect.
maybe sold $120 worth or something of stuff, which surprised me. Actually, I didn't expect to do that well. Some guy wanted PSA cards, and they weren't even out on the desk for sale, but I was like, oh, I do have some back here. I hadn't priced them and everything. And he's like, yeah, I want these too. I was like, okay, cool.
Just want PSA graded cards, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there is definitely some education to give them as well. So I'll try and help them out in that sense. Like, it's not all about PSA graded cards, first of all, or numbered cards. Like they were just so hooked on numbered cards, patches, and autos. Those are the things they care about here. That's what I've noticed.
Yeah.
If it's numbered, if it's got a patch, if it's got an auto, they'll buy it. It doesn't matter if it's a parallel or not. They don't get it. They're not interested in that. They want a numbered card. So I could have sold a numbered card, which I did, out of 2012 because it was the playoffs of that year. And I said, okay, you want a numbered card? Oh, that number means nothing to me. Patch cards went like crazy. So I had all of these patches of pretty obscure players like Rashard McCants, who is probably more famous for being teased online as a kind of a punchline of a joke because he's working with Gilbert Arenas now on one of those podcasts, and he has a minute where he was saying, oh, you know what? I was an amazing basketball player, and that next year you should have – they never gave me a chance. And I remember DeMarcus Cousins is in the interview room. He's like, who, you? Oh, no, we didn't game plan for you. You weren't even on the scouting report. He's like, oh. So I sold a Rashard McCants patch card, for example. And it's just like there are much better rookie cards that people could have picked, but they preferred the patches, and they preferred the numbered cards, and they preferred the autos. Yeah, I think that's something that I've learned about Turkish collectors. Those are the cards that they prefer. So if you're coming to Turkey and you want to make deals with them, I think go with those ones first. They will value them more.
Yeah, which reaffirmed to me why the companies are printing so many parallels and just so many patches and so many autos, because those things really do sell, even though they're increasingly not rare. Especially a serial number card, obviously out of $2.99 or something. Just imagine all the parallels below it. I mean, there's no actual value to the serial number in that case, if you ask me. But it sells though, which is that's I don't know. You really do get a different perspective when you're on the other side of the table.
Yeah, and I was happy too. I think I made a few sales, and with cards that I was happy to move. And they felt happy to get them too. So I guess a win-win. It wasn't as if like 200 Turkish lira is not exactly a lot of money. It's, I want to say, like about $6. Well,
Yeah,
my math is way off at the moment. I thought it was 20 hours. Now I'm questioning myself.
we can't keep track of things here. I mean, it just
Yeah,
the
that's right.
inflation here, is unreal. People out there do not understand unless you live in Argentina or something.
I did move some cool patches, by the way. I moved a Kevin Durant game worn patch from, I think it was like early 2000s. Like it was like his first or second All Star game. I moved one of those, and I moved a Wemby graded card as well. So some
Ah,
fun stuff that they moved as well. Mhm.
nice, nice. So for the second half of our discussion today, we both listened to Iowa Dave's episode 88, entitled "Recognizing Addiction and Sports Cards." He had on a gentleman named Alex Efron, who started a website called Collectors MD, which uh, I recommend listening to Dave's episode to get
100%.
that's the best explanation. I'm not going to try to do much explanation, but it's a resource if you're feeling like you have an addiction to cards. And I thought it was really thoughtful. I think I know I over the last 4 years have thought about these issues, and so I wanted to talk to you about them, and maybe people can uh, gain some ideas or perspectives from how we think about it. I mean, I guess what resonated with you in that episode, and kind of your personal experiences, how could you relate? I mean, there's definitely some, if you listen to the episode, I think anyone will kind of relate, whether it's increased phone usage, anxiety, stimulated by the hobby, maybe more than fun, or, some mix of those two. Um, Obviously the financial component, these kinds of things.
Yeah, I definitely, a lot of the questions that he asks. So what he says is the people who they do get in touch with, there's a list of questions that they ask them. And when he went through that list, I didn't say yes to all of them. So subconsciously, I'm thinking, look, I'm fine. I'm not that much of an addict. But when I took the time to continue thinking about those questions, there are definitely some I guess some addictive traits that I have as a collector. So I need to be careful. But I think having those regular check ins and being self aware about how much money you're spending in the hobby, but it's not just about money as well, it's but the addictive side of it also. It's like, how much time are you putting into it? And it's great. I love having card collecting is basically one of my absolute favorite things to do. But how much time are you spending doing that instead of spending time with your family, or instead of maybe working hard at your job, or maybe supporting your family by helping them out at home? Instead, you're stuck on your phone looking at content, and it's tricky because that card content is very addictive. So I've definitely been thinking a lot about that over the last couple of days since I've listened to the episode.
Yeah, I think I vividly remember my first time in cards was maybe 3 or 4 years in duration, from like 88 to 91 or something like that. And you know, I, I remember enjoying it so much as a kid, of course, and but I remember towards the end feeling like, God, everyone's just trying to get money here, and it
Mhm.
was kind of an icky feeling. And um, I don't know. It turned me off. Let's say, and you could just see kind of. I don't know. It almost felt like being in a casino or something, or walking through the slot machine room in a casino, like that feel, where you just feel bad for these people. And those people, I just read a book, Nate Silver's book, The Edge, about gambling, and they're not as like just dumb as you think. Those slot machine, they actually just are enjoying themselves too. So it's not that like everything's bad, and like there is some enjoyment from gambling that people get. Anyway, coming back, look, the Instagram thing is it is addictive, so that's different, and it's fun, but it you really I do find that I'm just on my phone way more than I was before. It kind of replaced maybe a news kind of addiction, or a Twitter addiction before, or whatever, sports obviously. So clearly I have kind of a screen addiction, which, yeah, maybe when I'm with my kids, I'm looking at eBay listings instead of playing a board game with them or something. If I just get off my butt and do that. But I just to bring it full circle, the industry still is. I mean, look, there are a lot of people here trying to make money, and they're preying on our addictive, desires, and so you have to be. I feel like I have to just be careful and be aware. And I'm not worried about myself. I want to make that clear. And I think the tenor of Dave's episode and Alex's comments is he's not trying to like tear down the hobby or something. It's just, being aware, self-aware of what's going on. And, there are resources, of course, to recognize that this is an addictive space. I said a lot
Yeah,
there.
yeah, they're great thoughts, man. I think for mine, I definitely need to be careful about this false sense of bravado that I have sometimes with, oh, I'm not that much of an addict almost. It's a way for me to justify myself maybe spending too much on certain cards or not thinking about longer term thoughts of, oh, you know what, I'll get the card now, it'll make me happy and all these kinds of things, but not thinking about bigger picture or just really being disciplined about keeping to my limits. There are moments where I could kind of get a little bit out of control. And I think that's why recently I've been trying to rein things in. But it's a constant, I'm not going to call it a battle, but it's just something that I constantly have to remind myself of, because if I'm not careful, I can get a little bit over the top and not really thinking about what I want to do. So again, that's why I really admire those collectors who are just so clear about what their goals are. And I think that's one of the things that I've learned from the beginning of us doing this show, is that there's so many great collectors here in our space who will not go out and spend boatloads of money on cards, but will say, this is how much money I have in my budget. If I can't buy that card this month, then I'll wait and I'll be able to buy the card that, next month. Whereas, that fear of missing out, it comes into play sometimes, or just that addictive personality of, I've got to have the card now for whatever reason it is. And you justify it with just the worst means possible. It is something that you have to keep front and center in your mind and just keep reminding yourself of. So I think that episode is one that I'm going to go back to a few times just to listen and say, what am I like now? Because the questions that are resonating with me now, if I listen to it in 6 or 8 months, are there going to be more questions from that list? So I've got to be careful,
Yeah. I mean, from my outside view, you seem fine. You seem like me kind of. And I think all of us kind of skate the edge.
Yes.
Definitely the FOMO is my biggest enemy. And I mean, Nathaniel once said, it's a lot easier to buy a card than to sell a card. Said that 2 years ago, but didn't sink into the cranium here. And John said recently on our episode, something like the hobby giveth, meaning there are always going to be cards available. Like and I feel like those have finally, I've really gotten a hold of that because. I mean, I've shared this before. I mean, I feel like I put too much money into cards, even though it never got like affected my personal finances. Although this January it did, and it was kind of an unexpected thing. But like, that was also kind of like, I mean, it didn't make me feel good, and so just being aware of these things and I don't know. It's funny. My daughter, I mean, Ilgaz came up to me wanting to trade at the trade show, the boy wonder, the rising star in the Turkish card community. And, same as you, I did some deals with him last time or like one, and he came up like, don't want to trade. Sorry. No trades today. I just kind of shut him down, and maybe like it could have gone further, our relationship. So I feel a little bad about that, but I just really don't want more cards. And my daughter kind of turns to me. She's like, you're not that into cards anymore. And I was like, how do I answer that? Like, I think maybe that's true. Like maybe I'm not as like crazy or something, or always talking about them. I don't think I'm totally in control, but I think I'm much more in control than I was the first 2 or 3 years or something.
Or just finding a little bit more balance as well. It's not just, I have to have what is my new pickup this week? What did I get? Like this, it's a fun question to ask. And it's exciting, of course, to share our pickups that we made with our friends. But mean, did you pick up any cards this weekend? I think I sold a whole bunch of cards, and I feel good about it because I'm like, well, at least it kind of alleviates some of the, not even financial burden, but like you said, that stress of, man, I'm never going to be able to get rid of that card. But selling a Rashard McCann's patch card feels great. I'm like, cool. I got a little bit of money out of that. I'm going to be able to
Totally.
buy a bottle of water for my family this week.
Exactly. I mean, you gave me a Coke Chew card, which was fun. I mean,
Yeah.
and Barrick let me grab a Steve Smith USA basketball Flair card, like 1998 Flair, which those cards are cool. So I mean, that was fun. Those are in the binder now, and yeah, cool, cool pickups there.
Yeah, I would actually like to talk to Barrick about this question, actually, because he loves accumulating cards. And I was in that space with him, alongside him, just collecting voluminous amounts of cards. And so now that PC, it's not really tightening up that much, but I have been able to sell some. So I've been getting rid of more than I've been buying, almost, in a way. Not like it's a big thing, but being able to sell has been good. And you saw that big box of cards that I brought to the card show, and that's just a piece of the pie, man. I've got
I
I've got
know.
thousands more, but being able to just put that down on the table and say, "Have at it, kids!" Like it's basically 10 lira a card, which is pennies. Go ahead and just get rid of them, and they're all base cards. They're worth nothing. Maybe there's one or two cards worth maybe $1 in there, but Ilgaz and other kids were going crazy at it, and I loved it. I was like, this is so much fun watching them just kind of ferret through my cards and have a look. They were really excited when they found that out. So I'm sure they'll do that at the next card show, which is happening in September, by the way. I mean, I've
Yes.
just to completely change gears. We've just been announced that there's going to be a new Istanbul card show. It's happening on the 13th and 14th of September, which is just perfect timing for us. So again, I think that we'll be getting a booth. It'll be my first time at the Istanbul card show, your second. And hopefully we'll be able to make more contacts, sell some more cards, and have a couple of really great days.
100%, man. Yeah. Yeah. And one thing, I mean, I've been doing, I generally do this a lot, is just to circle back to a point you made at one final thought, was about just giving cards away. I mean, like, you just,
Yeah,
like, that's so fun. And and then it's one less card that's in your thing too. So it's great. So I put together a package for Paul and his kids yesterday.
perfect.
So yeah, I got, found something for you here. So next time I see you,
Oh,
it's just
awesome.
that's fun, right? Like, I mean, so it kind of reminded me of that, the trade day, a bit.
And that's what I went into the trade there with the mindset of too. Like, so I started gifting out just a whole bunch of cards, and it felt good to do it. Like I was like,
Yeah,
what would John like? And so you're looking through, going, yeah, I think he'll like that one. So that's why I gave you the culture card. And what would Barrack like? So I gave him one as well. And then there was another boy, Ali, there, and he was talking about Jabari Parker. So I was like, all right, I got 5 minutes here. And I found a whole bunch of base Jabari Parker cards. Here you go, man. Like, you can have some Jabari Parker. He's fine. I'm not collecting him or anything. And then when a couple of the kids came up and they purchased some cards, and you could tell that they were really on the fence about, oh, should I get it? I was just like, yeah, just take it. Just take it. It's fine. Like, it made
yeah,
me much happier than if I had sold it to them. So definitely
yeah,
worth it in that sense.
yeah, 100%. So yeah, any other thoughts? I mean, yeah, we're looking forward to September. Our dear friend Emir will be unfortunately gone. I think he's going to be studying in the States by then.
That's
But
right.
Barrick, I'm sure Barrick will be on board if he's in
So that'll
town.
be the three of us there, and
Yeah,
then we're hoping to have another trade day with our group of four again in December, which will be great fun. I think
yeah,
that'll be a nice fun one.
that's the plan. That's the
And the
plan.
next big event, of course, is coming up. The event we've been hyping up for a few episodes now. The Dusseldorf Card Show will be great, and I'm looking forward to visiting a whole bunch of card stores in Germany. I'm not addicted or anything, but
No, no,
but
definitely
I did really appreciate that episode, just because I think sometimes it's good to take stock and say, look, is what they're saying in that episode about addiction, do any of those things apply to me, and am I getting a bit too close to that line? It's important.
not. 100% agree. I think you had kind of a public or announcement you want to make. But if you can't recall it, just basically, if people want to come on the show, let us know. We're always open. If you want to come on and talk about whatever, obviously cards and collecting, but if you have some specific topic, we'd love to have you. So don't hesitate
Agreed.
to reach out to me or Will or Global Card Collectors on Instagram.
Yeah, we don't mind getting on and chatting with one another, and we'll do it all the time if we have to. But we definitely like new voices, and we like voices from around the world. So even if you're worried about your level of English, please don't. It's just a bunch of fun. We're not a very big card channel, but we'd love to be able to chat the hobby with you guys because from what I can see with what's happening here in Turkey and the venue that they've announced for the new Istanbul card show, card collecting is getting big here, man. Like that venue is huge compared to the last one which I only saw pictures of. It's easily 30 times the size. It's massive. That place is big, big, big. So it's going to be exciting. So anywhere in the world, if you just want to even have a 15-minute conversation with us, give it a go. Why not?
Nothing to lose. Exactly. All right. With that, thanks for listening,
Perfect, man.
everybody. All right.
We'll see you next time.
See you next time.